invite me on your podcast and give me alcohol and food and cigarettes, or else I'm gone.
Sure, sure. You're not the first one. Haha. Welcome, everyone, to Content Pinning the Show with Travis and Dylan. I am Travis.
I am Dylan.
And we're a podcast that takes place in Austin, Texas.
Austin.
One of the best cities in the world, I guess. At our favorite bar in the whole world, Don's Depot. We like to have some drinks and talk to some interesting people. And I think we found some really interesting people. I've been wanting to talk to them for a bit. They're the hosts of a podcast called Gender Fluids. Everyone knows Arielle Norman. She's been on the show before, but she talks too much. Let's see a new person, Austin Smartt.
Hello.
I've been wanting to have you on the show for a really long time. It's nice to have this excuse.
I know. I'm stoked, man.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. Torchies and booze and talking in the heat.
I know. Well, it's nice that we got this fan. We're in some shade.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank God Don's is set up with like a wraparound porch so you can fucking dodge that sun.
That's why we're here. We're also far away from other people,
Yeah.
so we can do this in our own little business or whatever. Austin, since this is the first time you've been on the show, I have to ask you 3 questions.
Sure.
First question is, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic? Is that what you usually go for if you...
No, not always. It's my go-to mixed drink 'cause it's light and easy and I can drink it a lot.
Yeah.
I just picked it. I also picked it because it's hot as fuck outside and it's like cold and refreshing.
That's refreshing, yeah.
Yeah. And also I know I'm going to be drinking later, so I didn't want to go for beer and like just get full and sleepy.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hit like a nice like middle ground buzz I can hold till like 2 a.m.
Well, we know there's a bed in the back, too, for any of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's actually open for everyone, but we could sneak you back there.
I might need that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm drinking gin and tonics. Usually I'm a Scotch person. It's like my favorite just go-to drink, but there's no way I'm fixing to start pounding straight Scotch in the middle of the day.
Sure. It's
Scotch really is a day drinking event.
Not with that attitude, it's not. Goodbye. Second question is, what is your spirit animal?
Oh, Gary Busey, probably.
I like that. Good answer.
I would usually say explain it, but that just makes sense.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
If you don't get that, fuck off.
Third question is going to be unique to you.
Okay.
No one's going to ask you this question ever again.
Okay.
What's something that you wish you were better at?
Oh, man. I wish I could sing so badly.
Aww.
Yeah, I was in like my hometown, tiny ass hometown. We had this thing called All Star Choir, and started in 6th grade, and everyone went and like auditioned. You could audition by singing "God Bless America" or "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
What?
And I didn't know "God Bless America" yet, so I sang "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
That was the test you chose wrong.
Yeah, well, and then, probably. And then a week later, they announced like who got into All Star Choir. And every kid in my class, except for me, got into All-Star Choir.
That's fucking sick.
And like I've just been scarred since then about my singing voice. I never tried to sing after that and never learned how to.
Yeah.
But like I love songs and like I would like to be able to sing, but I'm even self-conscious of it. Like if I'm alone and I'm singing,
I've never
I'm
heard
just
you
like,
sing.
yeah, I'm like I'm out of key. The only thing I can really sing is Tenacious D. I can do some Tenacious D.
Sure, yeah.
But
like a wee woo or whatever.
That's so funny. I like the idea that they read out the names like over a PA system and just literally everyone in
what
your
they
class
did was they
stood up
pulled
and you were
everybody out of class to go do All-Star
you were by
Choir, and I was the
yourself?
only one left in the classroom.
Oh, it's better than the PA, I guess. But geez, yeah. What'd you do for the rest of the period?
I don't remember.
Cried.
I just
cried.
Yeah, probably was just like
regressed.
The teacher even went.
Always wanted to be a singer. See you
Well,
later.
you know what? It's just you, Austin. I don't know. Read a book.
Right.
You good?
Yeah.
Well, that's reading books is why I have shitty handwriting now, because I could already read like when we were learning to write, and so my teachers assumed I could write well. So they just sent me to the library to read while they taught people how to do handwriting
That's
stuff.
a cute thought, but
And so I was just like, cool, and just like read Hardy Boys books. And
is
shit.
that okay? I think it's just our Asperger's, though. I don't think. I mean, I don't remember there being a thing where other people were like learning handwriting. I think we just have bad handwriting.
No, I like skipped our handwriting thing in 2nd grade.
Then maybe there was a handwriting. I mean, I don't remember getting taught handwriting.
Remember they had the really big
Chief tab?
Yeah,
with the little dots in it.
dots in the middle.
Yeah, but that was just what the paper they gave us. I don't remember it being like a let's learn handwriting.
Oh, yeah, that was really important.
Yeah.
I got in trouble when I was a kid because the paper we were using, they didn't have enough room for the Y's or the G's. I don't know the actual term for it. So I'd flip the paper upside down to do all my assignments so they had enough room at the bottom. And that just made more sense to me.
Yeah.
And the teachers are like, you're not supposed to do this. And I was like, this makes more sense to me. Just let me do this one thing. You know?
Y'all are fucking wrong. Just
Right.
let me
Right.
So
live my
weird.
life. Yeah. I wish I could sing better.
Go sing.
I've tried. It's really not good.
Yeah.
Like people are always like, let's go do karaoke. I'm like, let's not. How about we don't?
Karaoke is the funniest
I
thing
like
because
watching karaoke.
Right.
Sing it.
and I feel like I'm happier doing karaoke with my closest friends and not in huge groups. Even though
Yeah.
my closest friends will be right there and will remember it. And everyone else in the bar at a huge place is so drunk that they're not going to even remember who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
So you can fail in front of a bunch of strangers, but I'm like, hey, all my best friends want to see me be stupid, you know? Like, I don't know why I have
That's
that.
different. But
Yeah.
that's why I like the karaoke rooms.
Right.
I don't want to, but I also, because I like singing, but I don't like dancing, performing in front of people like that.
Okay.
And it feels like when you're at a bar, like a karaoke bar,
You gotta
where
be
you're
on
on stage,
stage, yeah.
you're supposed to perform the fuck
Right.
out of that song. And I'm
Right.
like, no, I want to sing. That's why if you go to this karaoke room, we should go to a karaoke room. We can sing. You can sing badly if you want. Like, it doesn't matter.
Give me some
You're not good
ecstasy.
enough.
Austin said,
and
okay.
Yeah.
take some ecstasy, a little bit of ecstasy, and
Okay.
then I'll start feeling myself and
Okay.
singing probably.
Yeah. Molly rooms.
Yeah, or if you just, although I am banned from at least one karaoke bar in Austin.
Which one?
I don't know. It's one.
Austin
I think
karaoke,
It's the one
or-
where you can rent the rooms, and it's BYOB.
That's two. There's two of those. They're both the
I don't
Asian
know,
one.
but
How did you
there's
get banned? Was it too much Molly or what?
too much alcohol, and
Okay.
a friend like projectile vomited down the hall. He still has a picture on the wall of like, you cannot come in here.
Don't we live
Wow.
right next to Austin karaoke now?
I don't know, man.
All right, let's try to sneak you in then. All right, what gender were you at the time?
That's a good point. I was a little more boy back then, so
Yeah, they won't notice. Yeah, we'll get you.
That's funny. That's the best way, I guess, to go right at it, right? Like,
Yeah, if
also
you get
down the hall just made me think of The Shining. You know,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much puke there
River
actually was,
puke.
but yeah,
Yeah.
if
there
it's,
was
if it's
a
that much, I'd
there
say
was a
like,
lot where it was
the
like
L.
he was kicking us out, and we were like leaving, and my friend walks out and is like fucked up, and then just like as he's walking down the hall, just not just like once, but like sprays like a
Ugh.
wall.
a
Like,
whole, gets it on the wall.
Yeah, it was like on the wall and
Right,
floor, and it was like it was a mess. It was a fucking problem.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Enough
Yeah.
to kick someone out.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
ban them in perpetuity. Just
Never again. Yeah.
because this dude also, he was like, he tried to go back once, but like he'd like gained more weight and like had a big mustache and a different haircut, and like walked back in, and the second he walked back in, the guy was like, no,
I remember you
out.
He's like, I gained weight and everything for this role.
right.
No,
Yeah.
Nothing.
Been training.
But
Method karaoke.
My Daniel Day
Yeah.
Lewis karaoke. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got AIDS.
Two method. Come back. Come back.
two method.
Yeah,
That was-
he should have tried changing his gender. Maybe that would have worked.
that's
Right.
the two
You've-
method thing. I'll go for it.
I was just, if you've gotten kicked out of, if you've gotten banned from too many places in your city and you don't want to move, just at least just switch genders.
That was my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a real good.
She's banned from the family too.
She's got a problem.
I always like that trope though, like a person comes back 30 years later and their face is still up there, and
Yeah.
it's the same guy, same owner who's just like, no, I still
No,
remember
I
you
remember
somehow.
you.
Fuck you.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
surely, I mean, it's a business, not a grudge. It doesn't have
Right.
to be that serious. Like, maybe in 30 years I've changed my life.
His,
Maybe I'm not an alcoholic anymore.
his son runs the business now, and he still has a visceral no.
Right.
I've heard of you.
Like some dystopian thing, like the son's growing up and he's just showing pictures and
Yeah.
slapping the kid.
Not
Like, so
this
when this
one.
kid comes in, like, you fucking.
There are 12 enemies this family has.
right. 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 I mean, all just stiffed or something, you know.
Oh boy,
Arielle, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Are people really saying your name wrong that much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't correct people that often, and it's kind of annoying because there are so many ways to pronounce my name that, like, if you say it's Arielle, right?
Right.
So that means the emphasis is on the first syllable.
Mm-hmm.
So some people say Arielle, which is
Mhm.
also changing the vowel of it, because some people will say Arielle,
Mm-hmm.
Arielle,
Mm-hmm.
and those are probably the four main. But like, because there's all these different little vowels and emphasis options, if it's just like slightly like
Yeah.
someone says Arielle, or Arielle, you know what I mean, and it's just like that one notch off, do you then go and correct them? And if they I don't know, they mispronounce my name, but then when they introduce me on stage, our next Arielle, then am I really going to even remember or bother to afterwards to be like, by the way, 30 minutes ago you said Arielle. It's actually Arielle. Like actually, except that then I have to put the emphasis on the last syllable in order. But I'm like, but it's not Arielle. It's actually Ariel. But I'm just saying it's not Arielle. It's Arielle.
Counterbalance it. Yeah.
It's super obnoxious. So finally, I'm just like, but what it was is I was like wanting to I make this tweet about how funny it is that nowadays people are, because I talk about gender more and blah, 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 like people are trying to be like, hey, what are your pronouns, by the way? And it's like, bitch, you have never figured out how to pronounce my name.
Sure.
You're moving on to pronouns.
Maybe that's why,
Yeah.
Go to pronouns because it's easier,
Well, yeah.
I mean, it should be. My wife's name is Andrea, and that's a men's name technically. So most people want to say Andrea or anything else, but she's very, very much, no, my name is Andrea. My middle name is Michael. My last name's Stellato for forever, And so I completely understand it. But then there's some people, I worked for a company where they had my last name spelled with one L instead of two L's. And it really didn't bother me as much, except for I was worried about paychecks coming in and the IRS maybe giving a shit, And I was like, and I talked to my boss and he was just in such a foul mood. He was like, it's just your fucking last name. Who cares? And I was like, well, that's a particular,
legally.
just legally, it's just my last name. It's just part of who I've been for a long time. I guess I don't care.
You're right. Fuck me, right?
Yeah, right.
Fuck me.
You want to add some extra O's in
I'm
there?
a real asshole. You're right. I'll just, you know what? I'll just go legally change it to the way you're spelling it, and then let everyone else know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Brian, you were right the whole time, fucker. Yeah.
But no, I mean, life is good. Life is a roller coaster, but it's good. I just keep.
Sure.
I just keep enjoying whatever's handed to me,
Well, that's good. That's good. That's great.
How are y'all?
When did you guys start doing the podcast, Gender Fluids?
A year ago.
Yeah, right around a year ago. I think did we just pass a year?
I just looked it up. Our first episode was at the end of September, but who knows when we actually recorded it, because I remember that I was going to do DMT for my 31st birthday, but it was just a little after. So anyway, point being, it's really right around a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you start the podcast?
Why didn't we start the podcast? I mean,
why didn't you do it earlier? Why didn't you plant the tree earlier, et cetera, right?
I don't know. I feel like it was just one of those things where, how you'll hear movie makers and things be like, I made a movie because no one's making the thing that I wanted to see in theaters, right? Sure. And it's like, we wanted to talk about sex and gender, but
not be super gay.
But not be super gay about it. Be sincere but not serious about it necessarily.
Yeah.
And have a space where you can talk about it, where you don't have to have a think piece level of logic behind every statement, where everything isn't fully fleshed out, where you're just trying to bring up ideas and fuck around and just record the conversations we would have anyways, right?
Well, all these queer people who do have podcasts, they're all very completely politically correct, and if they ever say anything that isn't politically correct, there's disclaimers at the beginning, during, whatever, trigger warning, someone's about to use an identifying word that might not reflect something you feel, but you know what, this is how they speak, and we'll discuss it and breathe through that. And it's
you're right.
Just shut up, okay? And you're only turning people off from queer stuff and from listening to these things if they're like, well, this is boring, this isn't funny, it's preachy, whatever. So this way we can talk about sex and gender, which are very fun. These are rich, funny, interesting topics that people should be interested in. But if you're going to handle it with politician gloves in that way, with liberal politician gloves of making sure no one is ever offended in any way, and let's use all the official language that's been handed to us by some professor somewhere who decided that this is the right way to speak.
Jordan Peterson. Got it. Yeah.
Then it's super boring, and it's stifling, and it makes people feel I'm not going to be able to get any of this right or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So we really did fill a hole in that world where it's why there should be funny podcasts about sex and gender.
Yeah, it should be human. It shouldn't have to be academic all the time. Yeah.
Right. And it's a topic that is just ripe. But
and not only that, but it's there are people out there that need to hear that a little more middle ground verbiage, right? A little more politically incorrect. Not that the politically incorrect things are horrible and we should get rid of all of them, and why is anyone doing this at all? It's look, those are all good and nice, and I'm glad they exist.
Right.
And I'm sure they help lots of people and are really great. But there's like, I don't want to listen to that bullshit, but I would like to listen to our podcast or
Right.
something like it that's
Right.
got this just, it's fun and light and breezy and might be wrong, but like it just makes me start thinking about things in a different way or
Right,
like
right.
start like most people that talk to me about our podcast are like, oh, I love it. It's like, I like how, or they don't say I like it, but they're like, every time y'all say something, you always like move away from it. And I'm like, oh no, but I had so many ideas about that. It's like, yeah, that's what we want you to do. We want to like touch on a subject and then leave it and leave you making like answering your own questions, asking your own questions,
Right.
and fucking like diving into shit.
And create engagement that way too. you know?
Yeah.
Right, great engagement with us, and also like something to talk about around the water cooler the next day at work. Like
Yeah.
talk about some sexual fetish or something that we brought up related to gender that you never thought of. Or a lot of people will tell me that they're like, I've had those thoughts too, but then if I say that out loud, I would be told that I was a bad person, or like
Sure.
you engage. And sometimes like I'll have a thought and maybe my thought is a little old fashioned, or that's just where I'm at. And then Austin will be like, well, here's how I think of this. And I'll be like, oh, okay. I hadn't thought about it that way. Like I see how the younger, more progressive people are thinking,
Right.
and I can incorporate that. And so we have these genuine moments where I'm like, oh, I think we make each other think and expand each other's mind. And yeah, so
The other thing is, like, I think as opposed to a lot of other people on the left, because I would definitely consider both of us like lefties, right? Like at our hearts, and like as opposed to a lot of other queer lefty people, like our ideas are not static; they're very mutable. Like
Right.
a lot of people, like they've built this like framework of logic to where if you start altering little pieces at the bottom, it throws off how they think about their self and their whole
Right,
conceptualization.
right,
They've
right,
like regressed themselves into this corner of like identity, like a framework bullshit, right?
Right.
And so it's like for us, like, yeah, having the podcast, we had those genuine moments where it's like, yeah, no, we're talking about things like if you don't like what we say, right? It's like you can probably change our
Your
minds.
mind.
Like we're not here to tell you what is right and
Right,
wrong.
right.
We're just like talking through things.
it's not just our gender and sexuality that's fluid, but also our opinions. Like
Sure.
I'm very open to, and I've always liked having strong opinions, but then you can change my mind. Like I'll change those strong opinions. It's like I like arguing from that place, or just operating out of that place of like, this is what I think right now, and I have this new theory, and this is totally it. And then if you come back at me and you go, yeah, but what about this piece of evidence? Or if you've thought about it this way, I'll be like, oh, yep, new theory.
Yeah.
Throw out the old one.
You're like the more genuine version of that, like, cunty little cocksucker, what's his face, the change my mind guy. I don't know
Oh,
who
yeah.
the fuck that dude is.
Who?
I just want
Actually,
to punch that dude in the fucking
probably
face.
Oh, the white
the-
supremacist guy?
No, he's the guy that's like, is it Steven Crowder? Is that his name?
I can't remember.
I don't know. He like goes to college campuses and will put up like a
Oh.
controversial topic like there are only two genders. Change my mind and
yeah.
sit at a table and but it's just him like baiting people into like dumb fucking like argumentative
Pseudo-intellectual.
loops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like as
No, I'm like,
opposed to that,
genuinely,
yeah,
you can change my mind, for
really
sure.
do it.
Sure.
I've done it twice.
At least.
Yeah.
I'm all the time. I'm very like, well, I don't like being wrong. And so my way of dealing with that is being like, well, if you present me a new argument, I'll be like, oh, well, now I have a new opinion. Therefore, I'm not wrong. Mhm. I'm never wrong. I'm just changing.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right eventually.
I'll be, yeah.
Right. Never wrong eventually. How's that work?
Never wrong eventually.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Is there anything you guys still disagree on?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is.
Oh fuck.
Let's see this live, Austin. Change your mind. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what we still agree on or
Still
disagree
don't agree
on. I don't know. I feel like there's probably finer points of like.
Foreskin, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely disagree. You hate
I'm
foreskin.
against foreskin. I don't
Okay.
hate it. I just like I was
Um,
raised not being used to that, and so now I think that dicks look better without foreskin. But I feel like if I have a child, I would probably not circumcise. If I have a child with a penis, I'd probably not circumcise them because it does seem mostly fucked up and barbaric. There are like a couple of arguments about why it's a slightly more pragmatic.
Oh,
too.
this is the thing
Sure.
we definitely disagree on. Is you think that it makes people more prone to getting AIDS if you have foreskin?
That's just a study that I heard
That's-
about. It's
yeah.
not an opinion. It's
But I'm
just
just saying, I don't think that's true.
and
There's
I've d-
one thing.
Well, I don't know. We could Google it. You can Google it. But like I've
Oh,
I
that
read
search
that.
is not going to work for
I've-
sure.
That's rigged.
I've also heard from
That's definitely
nurses.
rigged.
Who knows? It could be fucked. You know, we never know. Because that's the other thing about using studies in your opinions is the problem with science is that like.
Yeah.
Oh, then it turns out that those studies were done by someone who had an agenda and they fucked it up. Or it
Oh,
turns
sure.
out someone fucked it up or
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And so even when you're using studies and statistics in your arguments, like winds up. So, but here's the thing: the study that I heard about that said that circumcising your kid can make them less likely to get AIDS and a few other things. It's still just like a small percent, you know what I mean? You should, even if you're circumcised, you should still use condoms or whatever. You know, you should. It's
well, that's not what my pastor told me.
It's a very small effect because the idea would be that like some of the AIDS could get stuck up in the foreskin if you don't. Some of the AIDS. That's how I like to.
That's the medical term.
Yeah.
Some of the AIDS.
From the toilet seat. Use the foreskin.
I'm sorry. Some of the HIV bacteria. I don't know. But it can get stuck up in there, and so then like if you didn't have foreskin, it wouldn't get, but if you do, you can wash it out. I mean, I don't know. So the idea is that like maybe you with the foreskin, you have a slightly higher chance of getting so with populations and with high risk populations, it might be overall worthwhile to circumcise them at least while the AIDS crisis is still in effect, which is basically like. In certain African countries, it might behoove them to be circumcised for a while until they can get the AIDS crisis under control.
Wait, hold on.
Well,
sir, you can't be circumcised for a while. Let's clean up that
I mean,
verbiage.
I'm saying for a generation or two, it might help to circumcise kids. But that's like maybe in that circumstance. But in outside of that, like the trade off between a slightly higher chance of getting AIDS if you engage in the kind of risk or getting HIV, if you engage in these kinds of behavior, whatever, is that really worth what they say that you get less pleasure sexually if you're circumcised? The fact that you're just barbarically chopping off skin from a baby, you know, is that worth it? Probably not. So that's like I say, if I have a penis child, I probably won't circumcise him.
Would you name the child or let them name themselves later? That's one thing that I always have a problem with when it comes to kids. Like, not to get too weird, but like, it's really strange to name a child. Like, if you put it on paper, like, we had this, your name is this forever, and they can change that name later.
You know what we should do is because you can't really avoid. You know? I mean, kids aren't going to name themselves and are not going to do a good job for a long time.
Well,
but what if we had a thing where you turn 30 years old and then you're like, you know what? You get one free instead of running around getting your fingerprints and your passport and going to the court and doing that. You get one free thing on your 30th birthday.
You get a text.
This is your chance.
It's your day. Yeah.
If you want to legally change your name, you get one free, easy way to do it. Yeah. That would work.
I like that.
That'd be badass. I would just wait till I'm 30 then, instead of paying all these like fucking fees and shit.
Oh, it's expensive to change your name.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, name and gender marker, because you have to like pay like court fees and petition fees and like there's that actual like. The Social Security office will charge you a thing. The DMV will charge you a thing. You know,
you got to pay $8 a copy for things that they're copying. It adds up.
If you have your birth certificate,
it's a few $100s.
You'll end up spending like $600 at the end of it.
Jeez, wow!
If that's on the lower end, if you don't use a lawyer and just do it all yourself.
There's also waivers though for people who do gender marker changes. There are waivers, so you can save some of that. But even when I got married, the second time when we were changing our last names, because we weren't changing to a last name that was one of our legal names, because we were changing to her mother's maiden name. Okay. It was the same thing as if you're changing your name for any reason. It cost a few $100s. Right. We had to go around to 12 different places in order to get that done. So at the time, and then I wound up changing my middle name while I was at it because I was like, well, shit.
Do you think that's like some kind of protective deterrence or something?
No, dude.
I think you just don't do it on a whim.
I think to some extent it is though, because
bureaucracy.
No, but the government does, like, there's so much paperwork, and for them to change that on everywhere, it is a lot. Right. It probably shouldn't cost $600 or whatever.
Right. Also, that's in my head. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and in Texas, the process for doing it isn't like linear or streamlined at all. It's kind of circular, where like you kind of need to know the exact order to do things in, because everyone needs a certain piece of paper for someone else. So there's not really a process. It's kind of they all need the same thing at the same time from somebody else.
Right. With no guide to.
Yeah,
you have to wait in line
guide.
to find out that you missed something that you have to go through different
lines.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, actually, you need to go back across town, pay for parking again, wait in line for another 2 hours, where they'll tell you that they're actually closing because their computer's broke. What?
Yeah. Because you have a schedule like everyone else, where you probably work 8 to 5 and everything's closed at 5 too.
Yeah, dude.
Even if the system doesn't work.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's fun. It's bank hours. That's always fun.
Dude, bank hours are the dumbest motherfucking thing in the world. There's some business like our apartment complex doesn't have like a central office, right?
Yeah.
It's that old like place like but we used to live in places where it's like, yeah, our office closes at 4:30 and this is where your mail gets delivered. It's like,
Right.
what the how the motherfuck am I supposed to
How's
function?
it ever gonna work?
And we'll send it back in 3 days if you don't come to get
Exactly,
it.
yeah.
You have Tuesday to Thursday to get it between the hours of 10 and 4:30. Wait, what?
But not next week.
So hire someone on Postmates to pick up your fucking
Right.
baggage
God
from your own
damn.
apartment complex.
Or you'll get a P.O. box or whatever. Yeah. That's gross. Okay.
I'm not going to get a P.O. box like a pedophile. Jesus.
That is a pretty red flag. It's a pedophile red flag. I'm not going to get
I had not heard that stereotype, but it works.
I
like it. Yeah.
the PO and pedophile.
It
I don't
marks,
know.
yeah.
It's good.
So circumcision, you disagree on. You were looking something up to try to talk to her about that?
But
or-
we don't
No,
even
no,
disagree. Again, I just
Sure.
viscerally think that uncircumcised penises look gross.
And I'm
no
into
offense.
anything.
Austin likes.
That's not really an opinion as
Austin
much
even
as
likes
like
botched circumcision penises.
Sure.
Just the creepier the better.
gnarled.
The
Yeah.
more scarred.
What about a botched vagina circumcision? Do you like that?
Never seen it.
Seen it? You know what?
Probably the most
That's a new
unpopular
good goal
joke.
for you. Find a vagina person with a clitorectomy.
That just looks sad.
I know, but that's
just, that's just like torture at that point.
But it's
right?
already happened, so now like you can try to help
That
her
doesn't
figure
make
out how to have
me
a
feel
penetrative
better
orgasm.
about watching it. Like
I
I can turn off a lot of shame and guilt getting off to a lot of things, but not. I don't
Why'd you
care.
point at me? I know.
Yeah, well, because I masturbate to your Facebook
Thank
pictures
you.
a lot,
That's very
and I have to
kind.
turn off a lot of shame when
Sure.
I do that.
But also just, yeah, exactly.
No, but I'm not talking about masturbating to pictures to videos of women while they're getting their clits cut off. That would be horrible. I'm talking about dating a woman who had a clitorectomy and being like, well, look,
I'd be
now we're
fine
really
to
going to
be
work
into
on
that.
your penetrative orgasm. Like that'll be
Yeah,
the new
I mean, I
goal.
could get into that for sure. Dating someone's way different than like looking up porn.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the
paper, yeah.
least popular.
What if that was your fetish clitorectomy porn?
That's
oh,
fucked up,
no.
dude.
It's pretty fucked up.
I used to do this joke that was like, I told people I was from South Africa actually and was like raised there and came here and was surprised when I got here to find out that like a lot of places sold like home female circumcision kits. You just call them cigar cutters, but people were never happy with that joke.
No,
I
it was
love
not.
it.
Yeah, it's pretty great though.
Yeah.
Bring it back. If you're not bringing it back, I'll buy it off you because I'll fucking do that joke.
That's okay. So change the topic just real quick. That there is a market for that, isn't there? Like I think about that.
Clitorectomy?
Yeah, clitorectomy
Home
porn.
DIY?
Yeah, there's-
Oh.
Right. I mean,
Dude,
ASMR clitorectomy.
Oh my god.
Oh, the sound of a clip being cut off would probably be great for ASMR.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You can fake it with Foley.
Just a little.
Please fake it with Foley. Please don't do it for real.
I mean, the screams in the background would probably ruin
Or
it.
if you whisper screams. Yeah.
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 Just turn down the volume on the screams. Just
Less,
the equalizer.
right.
Get the.
Get that nid out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, the purchasing jokes. Purchasing jokes.
Oh yeah.
I think about that actually. I think
Good
about the-
pivot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get away from kind of scooping clits out.
He has a PO box. He's worried we're gonna share all the secrets. What? So I actually think about that. Like, is that really a thing? Or is it
It
just
depends
kind of an
on
in-joke?
what part of stand-up comedy or comedy in
Right.
general you're in. So like,
Yeah.
there's a show in town where you sell jokes on stage, right? And that's like the gimmick of the show. But
It's
like,
called Piranha. It
yeah,
happens in
Piranha.
Kansas City,
It's
right?
pretty great. It's a wonderful show. But in the real world, the only time you actually are selling jokes most of the time is if you're writing for a show, or if like you are like a hired joke writer for a show where you get paid per
Only
joke.
very or for there are comedians who still do it. It's an old fashioned thing that doesn't happen nearly as much anymore. But there
Yeah.
are very like Kevin Hart, like people like really
Robin
rich and
Williams
famous.
used to do it, yeah.
Really rich and famous. They'll have writers, or you'll get it's kind of like unspoken thing where you kind of have a posse, and when you're hanging out, you just kind of
You
kind of
riff
pay for their
and-
life.
Okay, sure.
And
And they kind of riff around.
They
you say,
riff,
okay.
and then you take that. Like
Okay.
that's what I've heard of. That's happening still nowadays.
Still
So-
a writer's room.
It's a writer's
Yeah.
room, but basically, these people are living on your dime and traveling with you. They're your entourage,
Yeah.
whatever, and then you take their creative juices. I mean, that is a thing that happens. But in terms of anybody on a level below Kevin Hart. No, it's not a real thing.
Sure.
But,
Not just in his height either, just actually.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, even on our level, I mean, we talk to each other, and sometimes we're riffing in friend groups or two people, and it's like one of us might be like, oh, I do kind of want to use that.
Yeah, someone
but
will
whose
say
is it?
all the time. Someone will say something like, "Dude, can I use
I
that?
have that?
Can I have
Yeah.
that?"
Especially if their voice is different. I can see like I'm never going to use this, but that's really funny. This is something
Right.
for
Yeah, and also a lot of times I'll like say something like, "You can have that. I can never make that work, man.
Right,
That's
right.
all you."
Yeah.
Well, so for the piranha thing, like, all right, so consider people who know awesome comedy and they see awesome comedians move on and do bigger, better things or whatever, and you have someone sits down, they do some YouTube material, they record some of this, and then they sell that joke. Do they have to then go back and take that content off so whoever bought the joke doesn't look like they're stealing?
No,
Because
I don't think it's that big a deal.
it's not that big a deal.
No,
Okay.
I don't know. It could be, though. I mean, I think if someone were formally buying a joke off of you, they would ask you to remove any evidence.
okay.
No, I do think that that's
I
a
was
real
just
thing.
talking
Talking
about
about
like on the
rotation for sure,
piranha
but-
level.
Oh, not on the piranha level. But if you were seriously like becoming a joke writer for someone, and there are formal. It's not always that entourage thing. There are still people who do that formally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And if that's the case, they will ask you to remove anything.
I had
Sure.
it happen where I told a joke at a show, and then afterwards this lady came up to me and she was like, "Oh man," she's like, "You're doing that same joke that Martha's doing, Martha Kelly."
Right.
And I was like,
From Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean with the same joke?" And she like told me that it's this joke I have about like how I think the term pillow talk is classist because it assumes I'm having sex in a bed and not behind a dumpster. Right? And I did it at Piranha and I sold it to Martha, but I forgot about it.
Oh,
Right.
funny.
And then like
Right.
months later, but usually when you sell people jokes like at Piranha, they don't actually use them, right? But Martha apparently had like started using it in like her act for a minute.
Yeah, I could see
And
her
I
using that.
Yeah, and I forgot about that I'd sold it and was going through old notebooks. I was like, oh, I should try that one out again, right? I was like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I need to be careful about.
Yeah,
the
well,
things that I
I
do.
wouldn't do that show. I can't. If for me to sell a joke, it would have to be something I really, really, really didn't care about.
Yeah.
And even in conversation, when someone says, "Can I have that?" I'm very resistant. I'm very hesitant because I'm very conversational. Like I like prefer to be talking and off the top of my head, and even if I have some measure of a set list, which I prefer not to even have, like I want to be able to go anywhere. And so if I say something that comes into my brain, like my brain's going to cycle through things. I can't, like the idea of selling my intellectual like the things that my
Right.
brain does to someone else. It's like, what if I just say it in the moment?
Right. How do you catalog that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely, you are more just like off the top of your head. You're like, I write jokes. And
Yeah,
so for
you
me,
have
there's just
bits.
like bits where it's like, and I did shows like, I don't do this anymore. Or I wrote it and did it once at an open mic or a show and it was nah. But like, I don't, there would never be a case when I can do it. And I would love to pay someone pay me $20 for that joke, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
But
$20 you
damn.
didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah, usually I always try, I just judge how well I do on that show by how much weed I can buy with money afterwards. Where it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I get up to like being able to buy a quarter, I'm like, yeah, fucking came through on that one.
Good. Let's take. That was a long one, so let's take one
Yeah.
break and bathroom stuffs and things. We'll come back.
Word.
Sweet.
Out of this way.
That's fucked up. I don't trust that. I changed my answer now.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yeah. If you're jumping around, still content pending. I'm Travis and Dylan. I'm still hanging out with Arielle Norman and Austin Smartt. So we did get a text. Hey guys, long-time listener, second-time texter. Can you ask Arielle what their opinion is of local comedian Nathan Ehrman? That's misnomer, no.
Can we narrow it down to which aspect of him as a person that I'm getting
Wait.
my opinion on?
Didn't he move? He's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wait, did he move?
Yeah, he's
What?
in California
Yes,
now.
you can trash talk me
What?
now. Yeah.
Didn't he? I mean,
I
that
knew
was
he
his
gave
plan.
up his Gutbusters show, but I didn't realize he was moving.
Yeah, he's supposed to be going to L.A.
I don't know anything
Aw.
about people's lives. Why is he going to LA?
Sweet guy.
to keep writing, to start there or
Acting
whatever.
and stuff?
Yeah, I
I
think
was
so.
curious if he's- okay.
To be
do you
handsome
really want me to?
professionally.
He's a very nice guy. People would talk about him as being physically attractive a lot, and I don't see it. I see that he's objectively attractive. I don't personally there's not an oomph there. You know what I mean? He's just
Sure.
kind of plain attractive. He's got that kind of like generally like Germany
Like
kind of
Joel
looking.
McHale.
Yeah. Well, no, Joel McHale is kind of like got some cute.
Ew,
I like
you
Joel
think Joe McHale's
I think
sexier
he's
than Nathan
cuter
Irvin?
than Nathan Irvin. Yes,
That's
I'm
fucked
sorry.
up.
I'm sorry.
I'd climb Nathan Irvin like a tree. Let me
No.
tell you.
No,
Absolutely.
I would fuck Joel McHale.
Even
before.
Don's son Matt.
How cute is he?
Called him an Adonis. Like, who's that Adonis?
I don't know what.
Like,
Yeah, I don't see that.
I know. I
Thank
understand.
Joel
you.
McHale all the way. Yeah.
Joel McHale.
Sure.
Thank you. Team Joel McHale.
Sure.
You and I are Team Joel McHale.
Team both of them.
What I will say,
Jimbo.
Nathan Irvin, impeccable sweater collection.
He's got nice sweaters. There's something about his facial expressions I think that isn't sexy to me. He
Sure.
kind of gets a little, yeah. But
He's
yeah.
the only guest we have who has self-cleaning ears for earbuds. So,
Oh.
yeah. They always come out cleaner when they come out of his head.
Yeah,
That's
not mine,
fucked up.
for
I don't
sure.
trust that. I changed my
Doesn't
answer
sound
now.
good. Mhm. See?
Well, probably something he got from the Sky Mall that's actually in his ear canal cleaning them as he's listening.
Good point.
Didn't
Ooh.
Sky Mall close?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
Sky
That's
Mall
so
done?
sad.
It's
I
only
love
the
Sky
magazine that they just sell to him now, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't look up Lord of the Rings replica swords now. I fly on
So
south.
I remember one flight. I don't know if it was manic, I guess, but I just looked at. I wanted so many things, and I like took pictures and took notes, and I went on Amazon and tried to add a bunch of stuff to my wish list, and it all just disappeared very quickly. I was like, but I want an alarm clock that wakes me up with smells.
And the Bigfoot garden statue.
The smell
Sure.
it started out to like kind of mild, and then would like increase in intensity over time to make sure you woke up. I was like, I
That's
do
fucked up.
want to wake up that
I
way.
don't trust that.
Yeah, there's a whole list of things that it could smell bad to wake you up. Like it starts
Yeah.
off like, oh, this is kind of piney, and then all of a sudden it's like
It's a
you're
fire.
Yeah.
It just sets
That's actually what
itself
a
on
fire
fire.
would do too. It's like, hey, this smells kind of nice. Oh shit, everything's burning.
Right, but I'm a
That's cat hair now.
very sensitive sleeper. Like it's very easy to wake me up. So like I don't need an alarm.
Really?
Going, bah, bah, bah. Oh yeah,
I
if
wake
you
you up
sneeze.
often?
Oh yeah,
I do. I'm
you
so sorry.
Ellie, anything. Like if someone sneezes 3 houses down, I'll be like, what? And so I don't. Yeah, a subtle like smell machine alarm that would be wonderful for me.
Sure, something
Yeah.
calming. That
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I need the opposite. You know, blind people have, or not blind people, deaf people have alarm clocks beds. Have you ever seen this? Where instead of it just being, because they can't obviously wake up to an alarm,
Right.
and so they'll have a bed that like shakes and
It
has
vibrates
lights.
for them, yeah.
So I had a friend who wasn't deaf, but like was such a heavy sleeper that it would be like not only an alarm with sounds, but also his bed would shake and there would be lights. And I slept in his bed one time, and he did not warn me.
Earthquake.
I mean, we were drunk when we were just falling asleep next to each other randomly. It's not, it wasn't completely his fault, but it was just like, okay, I don't know what is happening right now.
I hate it enough when people have the flashing light on their fucking phones when they get a text that like flashes
Yep.
like that.
I
Like,
know.
fuck you. That's stupid. I see it. You don't. Like
Oh,
this
I
bed
tune it out.
situation sounds.
Yeah, I think I've had like 14 seizures because of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't care for it.
It reminds me of the ringtone industry. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It used to be a
Speaking
huge
of
fucking thing.
Ringbacks, that was fun.
I feel like the only person who still like makes custom ringtones for myself instead of just grabbing something and saying, "Play this." Like,
Wait,
I'll-
what are your ringtones? Y'all have custom ringtones
currently
anymore?
mine is is Peace Cells the Megadeth?
I don't know. Sure.
I have it here. It's in the soundboard.
Nice. Also, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Love me some Megadeth.
First.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Except for Dave Mustaine, that dude suck a dick. But
sure.
sorry, I just
My phone's always on vibrate, so I don't even.
Yep.
I just don't have ringtones.
Yep.
you have a ringtone at all?
Mine's usually on vibrate also.
Yeah.
And whatever my
Although-
ring is, I think it's just ring number 1.
Of
Apple.
course. Oh, famous ring one. Yeah.
Oh, I used to do that all the time in the old days. Because I'm old, so I went to the whole idea of Nokia phones and flip phones,
Yeah.
where you actually had stores you could buy. It's
We were
text
around for that.
1433 to get ringtones or whatever.
right. Sign up for the service. Stop.
My
stop,
favorite ringtone
stop.
I ever had was actually the Austin Powers phone ring.
yeah.
The do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to actually make that one actually. So
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
Do y'all wake up to weird shit? or do you just have like a regular like ding 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 ding?
It's like it's a sudden rainfall, I guess, is what I'd explain
that
it.
sounds
With
nice.
some chimes.
I need that.
It's kind of nice. Yeah.
What I do is every like 3 weeks, I change to a new random song that whatever happens to exist on my phone because I'll just hate it.
Huh.
And once I get to the point where I go, as soon as I hear it, I'm
Switch
like,
it.
let's just change to another random song and
Sure.
see what
I
happens.
stick with the same song for like at least 6 months to a year. Right now it's Bjork. It's good.
Which Bjork?
It's off her debut album, or her album debut.
Yeah.
I
get
it's,
it now.
It's Oh So Quiet.
Yeah.
Because it starts off with this nice like orchestral thing and then comes with the big loud jazz, which the other day I fucked up and I like hit snooze instead of turning it off, and then I went to go take a shower and Arielle was still asleep and like
Not for long.
she
no.
thought I was just listening to this fucking music in like the shower. Just she was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Wasn't that
That's
when?
Bjork. She's having a good old time, whatever.
Yeah. Oh God, that was awful. I was just like, why would you do that right now when you know people are trying to sleep?
I would never. I would because I would. You have more self control than I do because I would have gotten up and be like, "Yo, can you turn that the fuck off?" Like I can't.
But see,
I
you
can't
don't
right
understand.
now.
If I do that, I'm awake for the day. I cannot get back to sleep.
Uh.
I have to try, no matter what the circumstances are, to just be like, no, you're
Squeeze it
still
back
asleep.
together,
You're
yeah.
still asleep. You're still asleep. But it just, doesn't work.
Well, that's why I can't do it, which is like regular songs, ringtones, because especially a song that I want to listen to at the beginning, like I'll be like, oh man, I don't want to snooze this. I just want to sleep through this song because it's so delightful.
No,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
hard
use songs
picking
I
a good
like.
one.
Yeah,
I don't use songs I like. That's why I only use like whatever random junk
it's super irritating.
iTunes music. You remember when they changed and they became horrible? And then they would just like they for a while were automatically downloading shit onto your iTunes.
You
and
too,
then,
baby.
So it's whatever nonsense is on there. It's just like, okay, we're gonna pick.
So it's Smash Mouth.
But sometimes
all the time.
sometimes it is like crazy metal songs, and I don't know it because I don't know what the song is,
Right.
and so I'll just be like, "We'll see what happens tomorrow," you know. And I'm like, "Oh God."
I'm up,
Okay,
I'm up, I'm up.
I'll change that one. I'll
I'm up
change
and I
that
hate
one
myself.
now. Changing that now. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to know if there is a ringtone mogul somewhere who's still like living off of his millions of dollars.
Oh,
Kinda
There's
like-
got to be somebody.
Kinda like,
somebody, right?
like Liz Lemon's boyfriend, selling beepers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
but there's
Dennis
definitely like grandmas around the world who have never canceled their ringback tone $1 a month subscription,
Sure.
and that's all it takes.
There's 3 million people still subscribed to AOL online.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, tons of people still do not have smartphones, right?
Yeah,
A lot of people still have regular old phones. So yeah, there's got to be a ringtone business somewhere.
The beeper king.
Remember the
somewhere.
ringback?
That's why I loved
Yeah.
the ringback.
Yeah.
I
You could
hated it.
assign a different ringback to different people. At one point,
Yeah.
I had like a lot of different ringbacks.
Yeah.
And oh God, this was so fucked up. One time when I was with a girl who I was moving away, and so there was an expiration date on our relationship, and she was like very broken up about it, and I was like excited to
Moving on, yeah.
to move and like to live. And everybody was also sad, but it was like, but I put this Missy Higgins song that was like a fucked up song about, fucked up in this context about how like it's like, oh, it'll be so hard for someone else to love you, to stand in my place, but someone else is going to love you more than I could, whatever. And I made that her ringback tone.
That's fucking.
So every time she tried to call you,
That's so fucking
Crying.
cool.
Before I left, though,
Wants to
it
hear
was
your
like
voice.
weeks. It was like 2 weeks before I moved away. So she called me and was like, "What is wrong?" with
why would you do this to me?
I was like, oh, I don't know. I was having an emotion. Never mind. You know what? You're so right. Let me just. Might
Let
be.
me change it to these boots are made for walking.
Yeah, yeah.
Moving
A
on.
little more upbeat.
Right.
No, I am. I can.
Do you mind if I take the last cigarette?
No, no, I have another
I can be a cold-hearted bitch. It's true.
Really? Say more.
Go on.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
Yeah. Great.
How long have you guys lived together?
Like this is our
month?
first month. We need to pay rent today. That's
I
the other
was
thing.
just. That's what my alarm was for. Actually, that just went off. It's like, pay your rent, bitch.
This
Yeah.
is the beginning of our second month together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
It's yeah. Tell me about it because Arielle literally doesn't give a fuck about what the apartment looks like.
I
And it's
love-
been the
If you
best
made
thing
it
in the
look bad,
world.
I would give a fuck, I guess, but it looks great.
But I was worried about
Oh, you
when
mean
we,
like in a decor way?
Yeah,
not in
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
raccoons running
Austin's
around
the
or-
decorator. No,
Okay.
like she she was like, before we moved in, she was like, so how would you feel if I like maybe like put some pictures up? Do you want to like work with me on like, and I was like, no, dude, just do whatever the fuck you want. Okay. Like, please, I would love for you to just decorate it. I'm not going to, I don't hang things.
And I didn't realize how little of a shit Arielle actually gave until there was nothing on our walls for like a week and a half. And we had a giant stack of paintings and things like in the corner.
Right.
And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it all day. I'm hanging it all up. So I did. I hung up all of our decorations in a day. And Arielle comes home, and in my head, I'm like, they're not going to notice this. Like, there's no way. And so, like, Arielle goes to the kitchen, like, makes some food, and, like, comes to the living room. We're sitting down smoking a bowl. And I'm just waiting for, like, some sort of comment. And eventually I was just like, so, what do you think of the pictures on the wall? And Arielle just goes like, oh, hey, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. Like, literally couldn't fucking notice it. Like, didn't notice it at all. And that's when I was like, oh, you really don't give a shit.
Don't give a shit.
I can do whatever I want.
That's
and
pretty
I don't
nice.
care.
That's
Yeah,
pretty nice.
it was super nice.
Okay, I'm still waiting for her to decorate my room. You put up the one thing for me, thank you. But yeah, I need some stuff. I don't do that. I don't hang things. I won't get it. I'm OCD and I
love
can't
that.
do it straight.
That's your tagline. I don't hang
I don't
things.
hang things.
I don't do windows. I don't hang things.
Right.
I
you know?
don't, but I don't. I'm so OCD. Like I'll get it off. I don't know how to do things straight, and so like, but I
Walked into that one.
But yeah, so I can't do it myself. So I'm just like, I'm happy to, and she's got a great sensibility. She makes it. But yeah, people ask me because like when friends move in together, it is dangerous for their friendship.
Oh yeah, sure.
So there is that dynamic, but. I mean, I honestly am like so happy. When I'm going home, I feel happy. I'm like,
That's good.
oh,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I hope Austin's home. It's like
Yeah. It's like, oh, I wanted to like see you because I had some shit I want to talk about. Or I wanted,
Yeah.
And also, our schedules are varied enough to where it's like,
we see each other.
I
we
still
miss
spend
each
the
other.
majority of time alone at home, even though we technically live together.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect roommate situation.
Sure.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of like my happiness right now because I'm splitting time between home, my boyfriend's place, my work, my other works, comedy, going out. Like I like change and I like moving and I don't like spending too much time in any one situation.
Sure.
So yeah, my life's got a good balance and then traveling. Like I just,
Yeah. That's good synergy then. I mean,
It
that's essentially not wanting to hang anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a hat, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Here's her fucking hat. It goes right here." You know.
Oh no, we've had some. This is the spot conversations
Right.
where it's like, all right, I know you like to save things and reuse everything. What are we doing with this collection of like used Ziploc baggies? let's make you a Ziploc baggie section. We can put our Ziploc baggies here.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just like.
Yeah, it's great.
I've really started to feel my mother in me a lot.
Sure.
But
Our fridge has a nice flow. There's like OCD rows of things. Things are organized. It's really great.
Well, I saw you steal some of the sauce packets or sauce cups to take
Yeah.
back.
Cups,
Yeah.
that's the thing I'm having to get used to because I'm like I'm much more of a neat freaky type person when it comes to the downstairs. Like my room, I don't give a fuck what it looks like.
Sure.
It's just
Yep.
living room. That's where people come and shit, right?
Right.
But it's like in the fridge, like when I open it and just see things, like my like back cringes when things aren't in an order. And like Arielle's right. If it's in the fridge within like 3 days, they'll eat it. Like they'll
Sure.
incorporate it into a thing. But for
Right.
3 days, I'm just like, those are just used soy sauce packets.
That's
What are we doing
not
with
a used
those?
soy sauce packet. Thank you.
Or like I was unpacking, like Arielle had like this box full of fucking spices and shit that I was unpacking. And I threw some stuff away, and Arielle's like, "But that was special vanilla soy sauce from a restaurant."
That
And
is
I was
not-
like, "It was in like the
Vanilla
little like
bourbon.
it was in like those fucking salsa like containers essentially, and it was
Why do you
leaking
think I packed
everywhere."
it? It's fine.
And I threw it. Yeah, I threw it the fuck away. It was disgusting.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
I'll get more vanilla. It's fine.
So it's because you have plans, not because frugality, or is it
It's
a
both.
it's a mix of both?
It's
Yeah.
both.
For sure, both.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm broke, and I also don't like waste, so it works
Okay.
out pretty well.
Okay.
Mhm.
But
Can't beat you down for that, really. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I have so many different kinds of containers because my wife's kind of the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but she wants the containers. So like those little cups, those little sauce cups, have like 20 of them because like salt can go in this for her lunch. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's the thing. I actually use things, and
yeah,
I do
you
throw
do.
things
I've gotten
away
used
that I
to
don't.
it, you know?
Right. I mean, she also does that too.
Yeah.
You know, like but I'm thinking I am personally not a person who likes reusing plastic bags or like Ziploc bags.
I don't.
Hey, if you're bi and you have a wife, do y'all like hook up with other people? What's going on?
That's a weird pivot.
Yeah.
So on the subject of containers, what's up with your marriage?
Right.
Yeah, it's the first time you've ever brought up your wife. I'm like, wait, yeah, you have a wife. What's going on?
It's a conversation, but there's never actually been any kind of progress on that. But
Y'all should have a threesome or something. I'm just saying.
Okay.
How long have y'all been together?
11 years.
We
Yeah,
know
it's
some
probably
people.
time for a
we got some
threesome.
people. No.
This is a rich community out here. Yeah, we've got.
You're looking to get in some freaky shit in
There's
Austin.
no reason you can't. Yeah,
I didn't know this was going to be that kind of show, but I'm into it.
gender fluid
Yeah.
crossover.
Right.
Literally, I think it was last episode on gender fluids or one before. Someone was talking someone's like, "What's it like? Just hanging out with Arielle?" And it's honestly, getting a drink with Arielle is like doing the Gender Fluids podcast, where we sit down and it's like, "What's up?" It's like, "Oh, I've just been thinking about my gender a lot." It's like, "Oh, no shit, really?
No shit.
Yeah, okay, cool." I thought we were gonna just talk about the weather, but yeah, what have you
No.
been thinking about? Yeah, every time.
Right.
But
Weather.
yeah, that's why we started. It was let's just have our own conversation. There's another one of those fucking gay ass little pedal
There's
beer drinking things.
6 or 7 of them that float around, and also earlier there was you see the offshoot one. It was Austin Bar and Bicycle thing
the
or whatever.
fake one, yeah.
Yeah.
The off-brand pub
Yeah,
crawler.
yeah.
Fuck that.
These are the OGs, I guess, or something.
I don't know.
I would love to do that only if the conditions were awful. Like if I knew it was going to rain that day. I would love to do it if it was also super depressing. So you can kind
Yeah.
of laugh at, because it's $14 an hour.
It's
and,
$14 an
per
hour?
person.
and you have to
Yes.
bring
To
your
pedal
booze.
your own bike.
Wait, you
Yeah.
have to bring your own
You
beer.
have to bring your own
Yeah.
booze, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
I mean,
That's so fucking
Why would you
stupid.
pay
why didn't we
to-
start that business?
Why don't you just bike around? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ,
Because it's
people are
technically
dumb.
legal. They can, because in this area, you can technically drink on the street in some streets.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. In Texas, the law is that you have to make it illegal. Technically, it's legal everywhere, and you go street by street and say,
Oh.
no, it's illegal
So
here.
these
all-
people
yeah,
know
the
the
cl-
map of legal drinking
Yeah.
streets.
And so that's the reason why they float around in this little
Interesting.
area.
I want to get that map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they basically all of Clarksville.
Yeah, all
but
of
this area
Clarksville.
here,
yeah,
yeah.
right
This
up the
area
street.
we
Yeah.
can drink on the street. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There's even a moon tower over there. You can have a party and everything.
That's that. Yeah. Was there a party down the Moon Tower? All right.
Yeah, well, one of the few moon towers left is still up just up the street.
I'll be like, I'm gonna do a walking drinking tour. I don't own anything, but I'll definitely charge you $5 an hour to just take you on a drinking walking tour.
Yeah, I will find historical information, or for $10 an hour, I'll make it up the whole
I'll
way.
make Oh,
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
like Chris.
I'm great at that.
like Chris Lloyd, yeah.
And for $20 an hour, I won't tell you which I'm doing.
There we go.
Oh my god, this is reminding me. I don't remember how this came up yesterday, but we were talking about promoting comedy shows, and Courtney Peterson and I were, and we were talking about what if we somehow wound up getting to this place of what if you just went on Craigslist? Oh, because that was one of the pieces. So I was interviewing Ian Abramson on my Leading the Blind podcast, and one of the things he said that he would do to promote his comedy shows was to go on Craigslist and post about them and whatever. And I was like, that is brilliant. I'm going to totally start posting on Craigslist about comedy shows. And then I was like, what if you just?
What's that reach, really?
Well, who knows? But
right.
if getting a few people, whatever. I was like, what if you just offered to blow some people for coming to your comedy shows? Yeah, I was like, you could totally it sounds like a joke, but it also would be 100% effective at people bringing.
Sure.
If you offered to be if you come to my comedy show, I will give you a blowjob.
Right.
And you
You
say
would-
that to 25 people.
That's right. Yeah, I was like, we could get 50 people out there. I was
Right.
if we could split it up, it's okay, I want 25 before the show. To the show.
It's like the first time you try to do any kind of show and you start thinking oh, everyone's going to show up. And then when more and more people are interested, you're like, wait, what was the capacity of this room?
What's the capacity of my mouth?
Right,
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Oh, you're thinking you're gonna actually follow through with this?
Oh yeah, we could just.
I was just gonna lie to them.
Cheaper than pizza, I guess, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're really, the thing is, it sounds like a joke, but the truth is, if you're really committed to filling out a theater, you could do that. It would work.
That is commitment.
So 802.
Yeah. I'm very bad at blowjobs, though. So I mean, I don't know if you even want this, but Austin could probably.
I'm a killer.
A killer, yeah.
I will murder you by sucking your dick. That's what I'm saying.
Died like I lived.
With a full mouth. Just famous last words. It's not that bad.
How was that show, by the way? You keep moving the dates to times when I can never actually come see you. Off script, yeah.
It's great. The next one will be October 20th.
Which is like a Saturday, yeah?
It's Saturday at 10 p.m. at the Fallout Theater.
Okay.
It's been great. Honestly, I love that show so much. So, yeah, it's been floating around. Just my schedule's gotten a little troublesome. I'm going to be out of town for the first week. So, yeah, and then we're moving. And I'm hoping to make it stably the third Saturday of the month. But, yeah, you should come out.
Yeah. I saw it the one time. I actually saw it when you performed.
You weren't there for the one where we had to call the police on the... No, you weren't there.
Oh, man.
No, it wasn't that good, I guess. I mean, it was just funny. Yeah.
The second to last one, Austin wasn't, because Austin was on the one the other night, but the one before that, we had to call the cops on a couple of trans people.
Okay. Go on.
Well, it's a whole long story. I won't get into the whole thing, but basically, there was a trans woman who I didn't know she was a trans woman. She was just there were a lot of queer people in our audience because Austin was there and Austin invited a few queer people, and apparently those queer people had all invited a few more queer people. Yep. And one of those queer people had gone on Facebook to a group that was like a queer group, and they had been like, hey, I'm going to the show where heckling is allowed. Does anyone want to come with me? And the first person to be like, I want to come, was this trans woman who went and sat in the back row.
Right underneath the bright-ass lights, so you can't see their face.
I couldn't see them at all.
Okay.
At all.
And you hear a voice like mine.
And you think that's a pro voice or a pro move? You think
I don't even think that. I don't think they knew. I don't think they'd ever. You know what I mean? They didn't have enough experience on stage to realize that, or maybe they did because they maybe were baiting me. Because before I even got to the mic, a tech person announced me, and before I even got to the mic, they just started yelling rude things, just like, well, who did your makeup? A drag queen who hates you or something? And at the time, I still wore eyeliner. Now I don't wear any makeup. But at the time, it was what? I have eyeliner on the bottom half of both my eyes. It's not. That doesn't even make sense.
No blowjob for that one person.
Yeah, you know what? You're missing. You're missing out. I'm blowing all these other people.
And you're gonna watch.
Yeah.
Lock the doors.
You have to watch. Yeah, that's true. But no, and she's just so I could barely get in, and I was just being like, oh, okay. At first, I was just like, oh, okay, you're just gung ho to heckle. So you know what? That's great. Usually, I have to get people warmed up to heckle. Usually, people let me explain the show a little bit, but so I tried to be very friendly, but they just kept yelling out. They would interrupt me and just yell out something like, "You're fucking ugly, bitch," or whatever, just like that. And so I was.
Didn't mean clever.
Yeah, it was just weird. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Right.
Well, and then I was like, that's a little, and they were like, oh, I thought we could heckle. I thought that was the whole point.
Spirit of the law.
Yeah.
Not the rule of the law.
So I was explaining to them, but at some point I was like, all right, dude, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I said that, they were like, oh, you fucking turf. Oh, you're fucking transphobic turf bitch, buff, lesbian, dyke bitch, turf, whatever. And I was like, okay, I had no idea that you identified as a woman in any way. You're not helping anybody out by sitting in the back row under the lights, no makeup, you're wearing sweatpants.
Right.
Eventually
can't see your face.
They turned their head a little bit, and there was a ponytail, and I was like, okay, now I can see your ponytail, I guess that. Right. But I mean, you're being pretty gender normative if you think that ponytail is going to clue me in to your expression.
Right.
And ultimately, I even had them come up on stage because I was like, hey, if you want to come up here and see what it looks like on the back row from where I was like, you don't understand. I can't tell the gender of the person on either side of you either. I'm not. All I'm hearing is a voice yelling really mean things at me, which kind of seems like something a man would do, quite frankly. So that's on you. But I had them come up to the stage, and they got up there and she was like, because I told her, I was explaining, I was like, so I want you to see if you can tell what gender the people in the back row were. That's what I said. I was like, come up to the stage so you can see if you can even tell what gender people in the back row are. And I was like, all right, audience, give her a round of applause. I was really trying to be cool.
Yeah.
She gets up there. Yeah. So she gets up there and immediately goes to the front row, not the back row. and just points to people in the front row and goes, girl, girl, boy, boy, girl. These were visibly genderqueer people who probably were more they than anything. And so everyone in the audience was like, what the fuck? What are your politics?
Right.
That's the point when the audience also started turning on this girl.
Well, they had already turned to a large extent, but at this point it was like, oh
it was
no,
clear.
this is over.
Yeah.
And like from the back, I'm like, die, you fat cunt, and things like that.
What did she say about your dick?
She didn't say anything about my dick.
I thought she said something.
Well, so she was like, oh, I know you. You're a man.
Oh,
so I met her like 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
Like once.
Oh, I didn't know
this
that.
kink thing. Yeah, that's what she yelled on the way out because like
You're
I was
a man.
making fun of her for not being able to squeeze down the aisles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Austin was calling her fat. You should call her a fat bitch.
Because like at this point, like I was watching from backstage and like Arielle was doing fine, but then it's also like, okay, Arielle has to maintain a certain level of decorum because it's her show at this theater. You can't be a total cunt, but it's also like it felt a little like gang turfy where it's like, all right, you're fucking stepping all over my friend's like stage, so like I'm gonna say the worst things I can that Arielle can't right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna like if you're gonna fuck this whole show up,
Another
I'm
good
gonna
synergy between the two of you.
yeah, I'm gonna make this show feel horrible. And also like people like were heckling the trans girl, but then would stop and at one point it was kind of quiet. I was like, y'all, I'm trans. It's okay. You can make fun of her. And that reinvigorated people.
It was just a bizarre thing. Ultimately, she saw herself out because everyone hated her so much. I mean, at one point, she was like, I can heckle if I want. This is a heckling show. I was like, yes, you can heckle. But like, the thing is, if you get to the point where you're heckling, if you're ruining the show for everyone because you won't shut up and you're being obnoxious, like I will have you kicked out. And everyone erupted into applause. And I was like, okay, cool. Everyone's on my side. But it kind of kept escalating. And at some point she was just like, I'm leaving. And then we were all great. We were like, great, please do.
Cool.
And
then she was like, she just kept saying like the Fallout Theater's transphobic. She's like, I'm getting kicked. Fallout Theater's kicking me out because y'all are all transphobic. And it's like, no, you're leaving of your own accord right now. You know what I mean? And
You're just a bitch. Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck out.
But then everyone in the audience, like people just broke out into that na 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 hey.
Good.
yeah, I was like, oh my god, did you all take improv? Because this is beautiful right now. This is
all these queer people are na-na-na-naing this trans woman. It was the weirdest thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And then the next guy, I finally bring the first comic up. After
this is
whole,
all within the first 10 minutes,
10,
15 minutes of the show. We haven't even started the show yet, really.
I'm just up there trying to start the show, and this all is going down. So I bring this first guy up who's from San Antonio, George Anthony. He's so funny, and he's handling it like a champ.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing.
He
anyway.
was just like, I'm not touching. He's like, I'm Mexican, but I'm not touching that. Like, that is not my minority area. And like, he handled it super well.
He was doing so great, and he wasn't saying anything. Like, he really wasn't addressing it in any way. Except
I was sitting in the audience seeing if he would, or like not in the audience, but back to see if he would say anything offensive or like how's the audience going to play with it. Because I was going up later and I was like, okay, I'm going to see how this is going to roll.
Right.
Yeah, and he
was more
it.
just like, what the fuck was that? That kind of attitude.
Right.
But this one person in the front row and like to the side of the front was like visibly upset and making weird noises and stuff. And he was like, well,
it's like, what's wrong?
Why are you upset? And they were like, I'm not upset or something. And then he was like, well, I mean, you clearly are. And like, do you want to talk about it? He's like, you're all homophobic. And I was like, wait, what? How does that even have to?
Yeah.
What?
And then at one point he was like, oh wait, you're being serious. He couldn't tell if they were like heckling and joking or not. Also,
it was very strange. Yeah. And then he, George was like, well, this is a comedy show. If like, you're not going to have a good time, you can just leave if you want. And so, but they were like, nah. And then George starts telling jokes, and then this person just gets up, flips the whole audience off, both middle fingers, just in the air.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you, fuck you homophobic people, or whatever. And then leaves into the foyer where his girlfriend, or their girlfriend, I don't even know.
I thought it was a very butch lesbian. Arielle thinks it might be like
a
early on trans dude.
Or it was a they or a he vagina person, whatever it was. And so, but they go out there and their girlfriend follows him out there. And so I'm kind of like looking at them sometimes through the curtains, and the girlfriend's they're crying at this point, and the girlfriend's trying to comfort them. But then they kicked this trash can over, like this big trash can over at like there's this little comic Nora Franklin here who like they kicked this trash can like at her.
Well, they kicked it over once, and Nora
like
walks
picks it
over
up.
and picks it up and moves it back.
Then it was a.
And then she moved. Well, then she moved back away from them because I was sitting at the curtains just watching this. At this point, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then this person fucking throws it across the like lobby of the New Movement and almost fucking nails Nora.
Jesus.
And she weighs about as much as the fucking trash can.
Right.
She's not she's a stout lady.
Right. And then they like shoved their girlfriend into the wall. And that's when the Fallout people finally just called the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, they didn't shove him into the wall inside. They punched the wall
Oh,
inside.
they punched the wall. Oh,
and then they walked out, and then Danny Goodwin was coming from the show The Velvet, and he was like, he walked in, he's like, what is going on outside? I was like, why? He's like, there's this dude outside yelling at this girl like, you fucking come near me, I will hit you. Like, fucking, what? You're going to try and test me?
Jesus.
So, yeah, so they called, like, and she was like, I'm just trying to help you. Yeah, they called the fucking cops at that point once they were outside.
Yeah.
And, like, pushed their girlfriend against the wall and shit.
That was the rowdiest it's ever been, but it's just so funny that it's like, we called the cops on two trans people. Well, and that was the queerest audience we'd ever had too.
Yeah.
It was for sure like the queer. So it was this so bizarre that they were the ones being called like transphobic and homophobic. And it was like, dude, look around you. It's just a bunch of fucking queers.
Right.
We are the majority right now in this room.
Right.
You're arguing against nothing. And so I think that person, the original woman, the trans woman who had come on stage and everything, like, I think she came hearing it was a heckling show. She's the kind of person, apparently she like trolls people. Because she told me she likes to troll people online. She's like, I look for opportunities to troll Republicans or whatever. So she came looking to like get into a fight. And it was like, little did you know you were coming to a queer run. Like, I'm the host and Austin was the last comic on the show. It's like, you've come to like the queerest comedy show you could possibly come to.
You walk into a safe space with a gun.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It was also it was a good night. That was the only time I've actually been heckled on that show because I've done it three times now, 4 times. I don't know.
3 or 4, yeah.
More often than not, those audiences do not like heckling trans people or black people.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're just not. They're like, this is a trap.
Especially black guys.
You're trying, yeah.
Right.
Especially black guys. They're afraid of black men. Austin audiences are afraid of black men and trans women.
Sure. Yeah.
And so they are very hesitant to heckle. And but that night, I guess things were already so out of control that they were like, well, I guess we can at least heckle the trans chick.
It was fun.
So, like, yeah, that was a very fun show.
Yeah, like last at the Out of Bounds off script, I was like, y'all, like, what is this? I'm giving you a pass. What is the most offensive thing you can say to a trans person? Like, I want you to come on.
Yeah, try it. Yeah.
They fucking didn't do it. One person said something really stupid. I don't even remember what it was.
Well, no, finally one of the dads was like, I wind up nicknaming audience members a lot in that show, and so we had the silent dad. Silent dad was like, all right, brother, and that was like the biggest heckle that Austin could get. Yeah, and it was good. It was a good moment.
Silent Dad was a fucking great participant and a great nickname for an audience member. It reminded me of Silent Bob, kind of. Mm-hmm. So he was just kind of like a dude just hanging out back there and like didn't really heckle much, but I think almost every comic referenced him when they went on stage, like Silent Dad.
Silent Dad.
Well, there was Dead Wife Dad, Silent Dad.
Dead Wife Dad.
One of the guys, it seemed like he had murdered his wife before he had come to the show that night. From the things he was saying, first of all, he was talking about because I mentioned something about being divorced, and then he was like, "Yep, you got to kill him sometimes." It was something like that.
Sure.
And then I looked, and he was wearing a shirt that was like a groom with a dead wife, like a wife with X's on her eyes or something. I was like, wait a minute. Is everyone seeing this guy? I was like, did you just kill your wife? And this is your way of like coming to confess your...
Ignored the
what
I
is
did it hat
happening?
that he was wearing the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Working on the memoirs.
All right, can we turn on the black lights? Is that fucking blood on your shirt?
Yes.
Could be a lot of things.
I can't tell you what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That wasn't a no.
I mean, is it blood if it's mixed with semen, you know?
Right.
It is
What
a fun
changes?
show, but...
Are there little flecks of HIV in it?
Do you think there's people who are into like
Yes.
eating like
The answer
blood
is
mixed
yes,
with semen? You know how some people mix like ketchup and mayonnaise?
Yeah.
Like, do you think there's
Sure.
that?
I'm sure.
That's got to be hard to do. Like, to
Blood
get the
and semen?
ratio right.
Well, I think if you're going into that fetish community, ratio is not the first thing you're worried about. Just any of it, and then eventually you have specialty. Of course, there's like very very particular. Now this is wrong. Throw it all out.
I like a 70-30 blend.
Right. No, I'm trying to watch my weight, so 80-20
a little
if
more
I can.
blood.
Yeah,
Or no, semen's probably better on protein.
Oh yeah.
That was one of
My
the
macros,
one of the three guys who was commenting on our most recent gender fluids advertisement. One of the things he was like, gender fluids. So is that sperm or is that period blood? And I was like, well, it's both.
Right.
Weirdo.
Yeah, it's like
It
fucking,
is an innuendo. I mean,
is it a fluid that comes out of your body? Gender fluids. That's
Right.
it. That's what it is.
Right.
Are you crying because I'm fucking you so hard? Gender fluids.
That's a
That is.
Yeah.
double entendre.
Yeah.
So we're kind of running out of time. I usually like to do at the end of a show, say what's a thing that we did not cover and you guys want to talk about. Something that happened in the news, something in entertainment, or anything that's kind of fun. I'll leave that to you.
I'm just kidding. I'm not touching that.
Me too soon,
Nope.
right? Yeah.
Hashtag me too not talking about that.
right.
I am of the opinion that my opinions are staying the fuck in my head.
Yep.
Perfect.
My opinions are not great for Facebook, I'll tell you that.
Something we want to talk about.
Or a movie you saw recently that you're really, really excited about? That's for me.
I would like to see some movies.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Did you see Black Klansman?
No.
Got it and go?
No, because apparently if you get a birthday pass from Alamo, you have to like do it in person or whatever, so I have to get around to that.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Oh, that sucks.
That's
Another
annoying.
one?
There's another pub
Yep.
crawler.
Yeah.
People doing?
You know, a lot of people like activities to be organized for them. They'll pay just to be told what to do with their time.
Fucking sheeple.
And
Come
they're
on.
burning more calories than the stupid scooters running around, too. I mean, at least.
It's true.
Gross.
I like those scooter people.
Those scooters, for as shitty as they are, do provide me with a nice little moment of like anarchic catharsis where like every time I walk past one I get to kick it over.
Thank God. Okay.
I'm just like,
Takes for the
fuck
money.
this.
I don't think it's a movement that needs to be started, but I do think it'd be really funny to have a Facebook group of just people who want to kick those over.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty big group, and I think we should be vocal about it.
And here's the thing.
There are far worse things that are more important for sure.
Be a great
but-
YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, I know that like there's like lots of people are into it, and lots of people have very legitimate reasons to hate those like bird scooters or the lime scooters, right? Like
Right.
people like they block sidewalks for disabled people. There's no regulation around where they are. Blah blah blah. I just don't like them for some reason. Like I just saw one, and I didn't even know it was like a super popular thing yet when I first saw it, and I was just like, oh, fuck this person. Like, this is
Yeah.
fucking stupid. Like, I
They
don't
don't
know
look-
why, but I don't like you now because you're on this fucking
Yeah.
scooter.
They don't look as gay as Segway riders, but it's just frustrating because
there's-
it's like you fat pieces of American shit. Like just fucking walk.
I would argue that they're more gay than Segway riders. At least Segway, there's some sort of like technological novelty to it.
Right. It's not just a nostalgia thing. Right?
Yeah,
It's not a
scooters,
razor.
it's just like they're low powered. The funniest, I laughed so hard at them. They were not happy with me. I was at Zilker with my puppy the other day, and I saw these two people trying to fucking scooter across the grass of Zilker Park, but it was like a golf cart
not
running
working.
out of energy where they
Yeah.
couldn't quite, and they were
Nice.
like,
Looks like you're gonna have to walk, asshole.
I was just like,
Yeah, they go like 4 miles an hour tops, I think, like across
mean,
grass. Like I can't
so
even
they
imagine.
can
It's
go. They
stupid.
do. I mean, if you were like seriously in a hurry to get somewhere, but like not, you didn't have a car, whatever. Like there are a few circumstances in which it could be kind of worthwhile.
Yeah, it's
even
cheaper than Lyft, but
cheaper than Lyft,
Probably
and if you
take a
just
Lyft to
needed to
find
go
one.
a certain distance. But most of the time, it's like you just walk.
yeah, just walk.
Just walk.
That's okay.
Just burn
It's okay to
some
walk.
calories instead of
Yeah.
some electricity or whatever the hell these things are running on. Why are you spending money? But there's a lot of people. I don't get it. I don't get like the motivation to even put your credit card in and figure it out is like enough for me to have not gotten around to it at this point.
do you know people are turning it? It's like a daytime activity now, so they've turned it into a verb. It's called like birding or liming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my sister in Dallas, I was like talking to her on the phone. I was like, "What are you doing like today?" She's like,
Birding around.
Yeah, she's like, "We're going to brunch and then we're gonna go birding." I was like, "What the fuck? Like
gonna-
you're going bird watching?" She's like, "No,
Right.
it's like we all get a group of scooters and you only go places you can get to on scooters and you just drunk scooter around." I was
Why?
like,
See,
"That's the
let's-
dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of."
Let's steal that term back then. Let's start a Facebook group where birding is now kicking them over.
or
Yeah.
or baby birding someone food.
Yeah.
Shots only. Shots. Come
Yeah.
on. We're not
Yeah, you
monsters.
take the shot, swish it around,
Yeah, and then-
spit it into someone else's
How about
mouth.
Distance
birding is
counts.
just eating someone's ass out or something? So that every time someone says
Don't
that, we're like,
disparage eating ass
That's-
like
I'm
that.
just
You
trying
know?
to-
That's tossing salad. That's already a thing.
Yeah,
well, so is
true.
scooting, but they're birding is watching birds. We're all just making this shit up.
Right.
I'm just saying, if they're going to take birding away from bird watchers, it's like, let's just continue to make up new things that birding means.
That's two communities I do want to see fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bird watchers and people that
Audubon
love
Society.
Right.
Yeah.
Birding's our word.
I'd be scared of
I will
fucking
hit you
bird
with my
watchers. They have binoculars. They can do. They've got great observational skills. You know,
They're old. Yeah.
they're only a step away from being a sniper, as far as I'm concerned.
True.
Yeah. Something a little bit long
Only a
distance.
gun away.
And they'll remember you. Found one.
Oh, you need a facial description?
I
Good
should
thing
buy
I
my parents-
practice.
I've got my sketch pad right here.
Yeah.
My dad's a birder. Now I want to buy him a gun.
A birderer?
I just thought of this.
Yeah.
My parents have never owned guns. I think they need guns.
I've met your dad, and the idea of him holding a gun is
That's
kind of
what I'm
funny.
saying. He's like this fat Mormon from Utah. Not crazy fat, but just like a fat bald guy. You know what I mean? And he watches birds and love it. And like, there's no way he's ever even shot a gun. And I'm just like, that's what I want to get. The
Just get him a
next
shotgun.
present, I'm just gonna get not a shotgun. I'm gonna get him like a rifle
With no instructions.
and just be like, this
Sure.
is what I felt like you needed.
This is your next step in life.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about you.
I want you to shoot some of these birds.
Dad, now that I'm identifying more as a man, I figured I should buy you
Let's
a gun.
bond.
Let's bond.
Let's both be men.
Right.
The men. Let's both be the men you never were.
Jesus.
Last question that came in. I got a text from a number I don't recognize. Who is the sexiest comic that you both know personally that's a black man with multiple degrees and abs?
Fuck you, Eric
Oh,
Nimmer.
Eric.
Eric Nimmer can go jump off a fucking bridge or die from cancer.
die from one of the cancers that
One of
you
the cancers.
haven't been yet.
No.
They said Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I said Kevin Hart for sure.
Wait.
Who's sexier,
No.
Eric Nimmer or Kevin Hart?
Well, Eric's sexier than Kevin Hart, but Eric's
Yeah.
not the sexiest black comic. Jay Farrow, Michael Che. Oh,
He
I
said
would
that we
do
know personally.
terrible
Oh, I
things.
actually met Michael Che,
Yeah,
and he
I've
is
met him
sexier
once.
than Eric. So sorry,
I've talked
Eric.
to him. If people I know, also I would fuck Justin Hicks over Eric.
I'm pretty sure Michael Che. I forget because there was some black comic from Moon Tower who I went up to his hotel room and we were talking at like 4 a.m. And we were like, and then I was like, was that Michael Che or was that someone
Was
else?
it Jack Knight?
No, it wasn't Jack Knight. Anyway, but sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
Well, I have a long list of black men to fuck, so. And most of them are taller than you. So
Oh, but he did say with multiple degrees. He's adding in qualifiers.
I know he put in qualifiers. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, bitch.
I'm not going to assume how many degrees Michael Che has or doesn't have. So.
All right.
I
well,
met a couple of hot black men on this Out of Bounds festival already. So you know.
Which ones?
Have you met
Marcus
Marcus
dude?
Given?
Yeah. I've been hanging out with him a
Oh
couple
yeah,
nights.
I got his number.
Yeah. His thigh was rubbing up against mine the other night at Spider House, and I was like, is Marcus trying to fuck me?
You probably try to fuck everybody at
I'd
this
eaten too
festival.
much spicy food that day to
Yeah.
go down that road. You know, it's like, I'll suck your dick out back, but like
my
that's...
hands, my hands, mouth, and butthole are all too spicy.
Every time I think about that, you ever watch the South Park episode where Randy like sets the world record for taking the world's largest shit? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, hot! Oh, hot!
Yep.
Yeah, and I think of that all the time when I'm like, do I want to get fucked tonight? And I'm like, no, because like it's just like, oh, hot! Oh, hot! Oh, hot!
It's like, yeah, you never want to fuck after a crawfish boil. I tell you that much.
All right, well,
Dude, has that happened to y'all
T-shirt
ever?
idea.
yes. Yeah.
I haven't. That's happened to me an unfortunate number of times where I've not paid attention to like the spicy substances
yeah.
on my hands.
Cinco de
and, like,
Mayo is a real problem.
Yeah, either touch
Been there.
Put that on a shirt.
touch my dick, tried to like finger myself or something, and just like, oh no, oh I shouldn't eat jalapeno chips before I put myself inside myself. That was
No, I remember the first
not
girl.
smart.
The first girl like I had to kick out to be like, oh, that was Cinco de Mayo. That was a Cinco de Mayo lesson. There's this chick Nicole who we were hooking up, and I was like. I just suddenly my brain was remembering all the chopping, with all the guacamole she'd been making, and I was like, I like kicked her out of me. I was like, no. And then we broke up the next day, actually, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, semi related. I don't know.
Happy ending. What was her callback ringtone? or ring back or whatever.
No, that was later.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah,
Well, we're out of time. I want to thank you both for coming and hanging out with us. This is time for plugs. So, Austin, if you want to plug, this will probably come out in like 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's in 2 weeks, Arielle and I are actually same night. We're both on the Altercation Comedy Fest over at Kick Butt Coffee. Arielle's opening for Brian Posehn. I'm
Nice.
opening up for Mo Alexander at the show immediately after that. Arielle's show's at 9. Mine's at 11.
What 9 is that?
Oh, I think it's the.
Hold on, it's on me. I'll find it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the night. You can Google Altercation Comedy Fest and find all the details.
It's September 26th.
Yeah,
9 o'clock for my show, and what time for your show?
11, like I just said.
I know, but I'm just listing it again for the listeners. So now that they know that it's September 26th. Yeah, put that shit in your calendars.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, also talk about getting to see some comics in a tiny kind of intimate venue that you usually don't get to see, like Brian Posehn and people like that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome lineup. There's also an earlier show at 7 that people can check out. We're not on it, but come look at it. I think tickets are like $10 for the night or $12 for the
just
night.
stay for the night.
Go to
It's going to
Kickbutt.
be...
Yeah.
Have some-
Altercation Festival is such a fun
And if you want
show-
festival passes, if you're looking to do it, it's $40 for 4 days of comedy. So
Oh, rad.
check it out. Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
wonderful.
It is rad. And then, okay, so that, obviously, listen to Gender Fluids if you like our shit. But also on September 21st, I'm on a show called The Great Show. It's at Elysium, and I'm trying to figure out when it starts. 9 p.m. I am going to be the only stand-up act. It's also like
I
a
was about to ask about
drag and burlesque show. It's my boyfriend's show.
Nice.
Okay.
His drag name is Alexander the Great, and so that's why it's called The Great Show. But September 21st, Elysium at 9 p.m. So I'll be doing stand up, and there's it's a really good time. They put on a really good show. These people are he does his show annually, so he curates a whole thing that's like the best
It's a big old chunk of
people
it.
that he's seen that year. It's going to be really, really good. So yeah.
You know, we can't use the tagline "Gender Fluids, the least gay queer podcast" if you keep getting gayer, right?
I know, that's true. You're right. I'll rein in the game.
Sure. Got to get some parameters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have some fucking self-control.
Fine.
Fine. You changed your mind. Yay.
You did it.
See, it happens all the
See,
time.
we came
She
full circle.
says twice, but the reality is, I'm like, you're right.
Stop counting. Yeah. Where can we find you online?
Go for it. You go
Well,
for it.
ArielleNorman.com, ArielleNorman.com. I keep my website pretty up to date in terms of show dates, whether you live in Austin or anywhere else, because you never know. I travel. I'm about to be in Colorado for a week, and ArielleNorman.com. Also on Twitter at Poop Tampon, on Instagram at Self-Aware. And Gender Fluids is available iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, everywhere else.
Yeah. You can look at my website, which is just my name, Austin Smartt. There are 2 T's in Smart, SMARTT. So, AustinSmart.com. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is just Austin is Smart. My name, very easy. And then, fucking hit up Gender Fluids on iTunes. Go ahead and subscribe to that shit, or just leave us a bullshit 5-star review. I don't really care if you listen.
Bullshit 5-star.
Yeah,
Subscribe, rate, listen, review, and or any.
Guess my dick size in our rating comments.
That's true. One of the things, if we get up to 500 ratings, or what was it, 100 reviews or something, 500 ratings or 100 reviews, then Austin will tell us all how big her dick is.
Okay.
So that's pretty important to me.
So if you're like, I've not listened, but I'd like to know, but I don't want to leave a real review, just put some inches in there.
Just put a review where you're like, I'm guessing Austin's dick is 5.5 inches long.
Right.
That's it. That would be a great review.
So that's where you can find us.
Okay.
Oh, and if you're on FetLife, you can find us on FetLife under Gender Fluids also. We are on FetLife.
Nice. Okay.
I need to look up her profile. Hey, how big's your dick, Travis?
I'm not telling you. You can find out later if you.
How many ratings do you
if that threat. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you all for having us. This has been a
it's
blast.
pleasure. We do this with everyone, every comedian who's been on the show. You have that phone number if you're ever just really drunk and want to yell at us for something, or if you have a thought, or if there's someone in your crowd, specifically Arielle, that is just being awful, you can like call us and tell us about it immediately, and we'll share that on the show. And it's 802-359-7468. 802-359-SHOT.
I'll give out your phone number at my show.
You can also use it for people you don't want to hook up with, who are like really, really aggressive.
I've given my mom's phone number out, but I'll just give me yours instead. That's right there.
Yeah. Anything. It would be really nice. Dylan, thanks for helping me run the show.
Yeah.
If you like this show and you want to know more about the show, you can go to contentpending.com. That's contentpending.com. You can find out the shows we've done in the past, as well as everything else we've done in the past. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter, Content Pending the Show. You can find us on iTunes, and like Arielle and Austin both said, please go and rate the show. That's the gold standard for podcasts. That's the biggest exposure. Getting the ratings up and getting just any kind of comments is really, really nice. But you can also touch base with us, like I said, on Twitter or Facebook. You can 802-359-7468 or questions at contentpending.com. We are on Instagram, contentpending.com, DOTCOM. And I think that's about it. But any place you find podcasts, come find us, and then please engage with us. And that's it. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
I just rated you.
Peace, y'all.
Content pending.